Emily jolted awake. Her heart hammered. Sweat slicked her skin. A scream caught in her throat. Blood. The sheets were soaked in it. Crimson stained the walls. She scrambled back, hitting the headboard. Her breath came in ragged gasps. Panic tightened its grip. The room swam, a dizzying mix of red and shadow. Then silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Emily forced herself to look down. Clean sheets, no blood. Just the faintest trace of a metallic scent in the air. A nightmare. Just a vivid, terrifying nightmare. The day began like any other. Coffee, burnt toast, the morning news droning about mundane events. But a sense of unease clung to Emily, a prickling at the back of her neck. The nightmare, too real, too visceral, refused to fade. Then it happened. The screech of tires, the sickening thud, the blood. Her neighbor's son mowed down by a speeding car, just like in her dream. No, not a dream, a premonition. She woke up the next day, a strangled cry escaping her lips. The same sheets, the same scent of blood. The same news report, the same horrifying accident. Trapped. She was trapped in a macabre replay of the worst day of her life. Days blurred into an endless cycle of horror. Each time Emily woke, the dread grew, twisting in her gut like a living thing. The loop was relentless, a cruel carousel of death and despair. She had to break free, but how? The answer, she realized, lay buried in her family history. Whispers from her childhood, hushed tones and averted gazes spoke of a darkness that clung to their lineage. A curse, they called it. Her grandmother's ramblings, once dismissed as senility, now echoed in her ears with chilling clarity. Emily delved into her family's past, each dusty photograph, every faded letter, a piece of a terrifying puzzle. She discovered a pattern in her lineage, a recurring nightmare, a sudden death, an eerie sense of déjà vu. It all pointed to one thing: the curse was real. Her great-great-grandfather, a powerful sorcerer, had made a pact with an entity of immense power. Wealth and prosperity in exchange for a blood sacrifice, repeating every generation. The details were lost to time, but the consequences were all too clear. The loop was the entity's gruesome toll booth, claiming a life each day. And Emily was next in line. But she refused to be a pawn in this macabre game. She would fight. She would break the curse, even if it was the last thing she did. Deep in the attic, hidden beneath layers of dust and cobwebs, she found it. A leather-bound journal, its pages filled with frantic scribblings, ink faded and splotched with what looked disturbingly like blood. Her great-great-grandfather's journal. A chilling chronicle of his descent into madness, consumed by the very power he craved. The entity, he called it the Shadow Man, a being of pure darkness, feeding on fear and despair. The pact was sealed in blood, a pact that bound their lineage to an eternity of suffering. But there was more, a ritual, mentioned in hushed, desperate tones. Emily pored over the journal, each word sending shivers down her spine. The ritual was dangerous, fraught with risks. One wrong step, one misspoken word could unleash the Shadow Man's wrath upon her. But what choice did she have? It was her only hope. She had to confront the entity, face the darkness that haunted her family for generations. The thought sent a tremor of fear through her, but also a strange sense of purpose. This was her fight, her chance to break free from the shackles of the past. The ritual was specific, demanding precision. It had to be performed on the anniversary of the pact, under the blood moon. The air crackled with anticipation as Emily gathered the elements. A silver athame, a sprig of belladonna, a single black candle. She drew the symbols on the floor with trembling hands, the air growing heavy, the scent of ozone thick in the air. Fear, cold and sharp, threatened to overwhelm her, but she pushed it down. She wouldn't let it consume her. Not this time. As the blood moon bathed the room in an eerie red glow, Emily began the incantation. The words felt foreign on her tongue, ancient, powerful. The air shimmered, the shadows in the room deepening, twisting into grotesque shapes. And then he emerged, the Shadow Man, tall and skeletal, his form shifting in and out of focus, tendrils of darkness trailing behind him. His eyes, two burning embers in the darkness, fixed on Emily, sending a chill down her spine that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with a primal dread. "You dare defy me, child?" His voice, a raspy whisper that seemed to slither around the room, sent shivers down her spine. "You are bound to me, just like your ancestors before you." Fear threatened to paralyze her, but Emily clung to her anger, her desperation. "They were bound by fear and ignorance," she retorted, her voice surprisingly steady. "But I am not them. I know the truth of your pact, and I reject it." The entity chuckled, a hollow, chilling sound. "You are nothing but a mortal, a plaything in my grasp. You cannot defy me any more than you can stop the tide." The shadows around him writhed, reaching for her with icy fingers. Emily held her ground. "My ancestor made a deal with you, a deal forged in desperation and sealed with blood, but I offer you something different." She held up the silver athame, its surface gleaming in the eerie light. "I offer you an end to this torment, a release from this curse." "You think you can bargain with me?" The Shadow Man loomed closer, his form solidifying, becoming more distinct. "You have nothing to offer me that I desire. Emily, you are bound to this curse as much as we are," Emily countered, her voice unwavering. "Each death, each cycle binds you further to this world. I offer you release, a chance to return to the darkness from whence you came." For the first time, she saw a flicker of doubt in the entity's eyes. She pressed her advantage. "You feed on fear, on despair. But with each cycle, I grow stronger, my fear replaced by resolve. You're losing your grip, Shadow Man. Don't you see? I'm no longer your prisoner, I'm your jailer." The air crackled with tension, the silence stretching, filled only with the sound of their breathing. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the Shadow Man began to shrink, his form wavering, the shadows around him receding. "Very well," the entity hissed, its voice a mere whisper now. "You have won this round, child. But know this, the darkness never truly fades. It lingers, waiting for its chance to rise again, and with that he dissolved, disappearing into the shadows from whence he came." The room was silent, the air still heavy with the lingering presence of the entity. Emily stood there, the athame clutched tightly in her hand, her body trembling with exhaustion. She had done it. She had broken the curse. She stepped out of the circle, the symbols on the floor seeming to fade as she did. The blood moon had vanished, replaced by the first rays of dawn. A new day was breaking, a day free from the shadow of the curse. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Emily felt a glimmer of hope. She had faced her fears, confronted the darkness that had haunted her family for generations, and she had emerged victorious. The world seemed different, brighter somehow. The colors more vibrant, the sounds sharper. Or maybe it was just her, finally free from the weight of the curse. The scent of blood no longer clung to her, replaced by the fresh, clean air of a new beginning. The memory of the loop, of the endless cycle of horror remained, but it no longer held the same power over her. It was a part of her past, a scar that would forever remind her of the darkness she had overcome. Emily knew that life would still have its challenges, its moments of despair, but she also knew that she was strong enough to face them, to forge her own path, free from the shackles of her family's past. She had stared into the abyss and emerged unbroken. She was a survivor. And as she stepped into the dawn of a new day, Emily vowed to honor the sacrifices of those who came before her by living a life worthy of their sacrifice. Life moved on. The nightmare faded into a distant memory, a chilling tale she told on stormy nights, a reminder of the darkness that lurked at the edges of reality. but some scars ran too deep to heal completely. The fear of shadows, the sudden jolt of terror, the screech of tires, the lingering scent of blood in her dreams. These were the ghosts that haunted her, the whispers of a past she couldn't entirely escape. But Emily had learned to live with them. She had found solace in the everyday and the simple joys of life. She had learned to cherish every sunrise, every laugh, every moment of peace. For she knew more than most how precious and fragile life truly was. And sometimes when the world felt dark and the shadows threatened to consume her, Emily would remember the words she had spoken to the Shadow Man, "I am not afraid." And in that single, defiant statement, she would find the strength to keep moving forward into the light of a new day.